Hi everybody, this is Susan, and I wanted to make this short video because I wanted to show everybody about Liquid Diamonds resin. And the reason why I wanted to do this is because every day I see posts about people getting frustrated on the pieces that they're making and the bubbles that they're getting and how to get rid of the bubbles. So I wanted to show everybody the Liquid Diamonds resin. I've been using it since it was before it was released to the public. It was sent to me by the chemist that created it, and I fell in love with it almost immediately and knew it was a home run. I started using it for about a year, and then I started selling it. I was the first distributor of using it, and it was just absolutely amazing. I'm going to keep the camera rolling so that you guys know that there's no funny business going on or anything like that. There's parts that I'm going to speed up because you're not going to want to see the, the whole stirring process and everything. But the camera will keep rolling the entire time. This is one of the things that I always do. I always use a plastic stir stick every single time I mix resin, and this will help you greatly eliminate bubbles. Do not use wooden stir sticks. Using the wooden stir sticks is going to put air into the mixture, and that's this is gonna save you a whole lot of headaches if you start using plastic or metal or anything except wood. And these are available on my website at thecraftattack.com, but I also include one on every single kit just so that you can see the difference when you mix with these as opposed to a wooden stir stick. Now I'm going to be mixing up a 6-ounce batch here because I've got a couple of projects that I want to work on. You can mix 2 ounces, however big you want to mix. I'm using these little plastic cups. I also sell these on my website. You can get them on Amazon. Some of the hardware stores sell them wherever. So I'm going to start with 2 ounces of the hardener right here. Then we're going to take the part A, which is the resin, and add 4 ounces of the part A to get to my 6-ounce total. And again, hopefully you can see, let's hold this up here. Hopefully you can see it pours literally like water out of a bottle. Now you're going to see the mixture is going to be a little bit cloudy at first when you first pour. That's the way it works because of the 2 chemicals there. But it's going to clear up, and you see all those little striations in there. Once you start mixing, it is going to clear up and those striations are going to go away. Now I always mix for 4 minutes. I don't care what brand. I've always mixed for all the years I've been working with resin. I've always mixed for 4 minutes. It's just always been a fail-safe for me, and it's never failed. And so I mix for 4 minutes straight, scraping the sides, scraping the bottom. And here I'm just speeding up the camera because you're not going to want to sit here for 4 minutes and watch me in real time stir for 4 minutes straight. So just speeding this up for you guys. Okay, now hopefully I'm going to try and show you that there are bubbles in here when you first start stirring, because when you stir, you're actually stirring some air into it, and that's just unavoidable. So I'm trying to show you, and it's hard to get the light on it, but you can see there that there are bubbles in there. It's very clear. You can see that the resin itself is clear. All the striations are gone, but you can see the bubbles, and trying to get the light on it so you can see a little bit better. I really want you to see all the air bubbles that are in it right now. See all those micro bubbles right there? That's what you need to see, because that's going to be important in a little bit here. All those micro bubbles. And you're going to say, well, this isn't very good. I can get that with any brand. Just wait a couple seconds here. Kind of looks like dust particles, but it's actually micro bubbles from the air from when we were stirring. But what you're going to do is now I'm going to sit and let this sit, just leave it alone for about 5 minutes, and I'm going to let it degas. And here's the magic. It's because Liquid Diamonds has such a super, super low viscosity that all these bubbles are going to start rising to the top. They're even actually, I can see that they're doing it right now as we are filming this. They rise to the top very fast and very easily, and they will start popping on their own. You can kind of see right now that they're already popping on their own. And you can see that there's fewer bubbles than there were when I first started holding it up to the camera. So in about 5 minutes, you're really not going to see any of those anymore. And it's just due to the viscosity because it's so very thin. The thicker resins, it's very difficult for those bubbles to come all the way to the top. They just rise so slowly. And by the time that you let it sit and degas like that, it starts getting thicker. So it's kind of like it works against the resin, because then the thicker it becomes because of the exothermic reaction, then the bubbles can't rise because it's becoming too thick for that to take place, for that to happen. So it just kind of, it's just a vicious circle. In this case, with Liquid Diamonds, it's already thin, so the bubbles get a chance to rise to the top, and it works out well. So this is actually, I'm letting this sit in, and I'm speeding up the camera, and we are now at about 5 minutes later, and now we're taking a look at it. And there are just a few up at the top here that I can really just kind of pop with my stir stick. And you're going to see in a second, there's maybe 2 or 3 little tiny clusters at the top that are kind of being stubborn. I had a little piece of fuzz at the top of the surface, and that's where the bubbles were kind of clinging onto. But other than that, they are literally all gone. Like literally there are no other bubbles. And I'm trying to turn the cup in all different ways under the light, in different angles towards the camera, so that you guys can see. That's all it took. There was no heat applied. There was nothing. No torch, no heat, no alcohol spritz. Absolutely nothing done to it other than letting it sit for 5 minutes. And the bubbles just disappeared on their own. And this is ready to do whatever you want to do with it. Just pour it straight in. You can start adding your colorants, whatever you choose to do. You can see now those couple of little places that I mentioned at the top. But other than that, there just are no other bubbles. Super, super clear. And it just did really, really well. You guys don't need a pressure pot. Don't let anybody talk you into a pressure pot. Liquid Diamonds is a more premium brand. This is the mold that I was getting ready to pour in. I did notice that it had a watermark on the bottom of the mold. I can explain later what a watermark is, but I did pour into the mold, and when I demolded it, it came out super, super clear with no bubbles, but unfortunately it had a kind of a scuff mark on the back because of that watermark on the bottom of the mold, so that kind of sucked. I guess that's what you get sometimes for buying cheap molds. But my other projects came out okay because they were colored, and so it didn't, it was fine. But that particular one kind of sucked because that's the one that I wanted to show how clear it was. But in any case, this is exactly what you're working with, and you just don't need a pressure pot. You don't need to use alcohol. I recommend that you don't use a torch or anything, because sometimes that can actually make a film or something. If you use a torch too much or too close, that can create like a film or an oil slick type thing across the surface. So when you first start working with it, I would suggest you just try and let it degas for a little bit. If you're making a big, huge batch, the longer you let it sit, it's going to heat up really fast and it could start smoking. So break it down into smaller cups if you can. If you're making huge batches, break it down into smaller cups, and so that it doesn't heat up so quickly. But there you go. And give liquid diamonds a try at thecraftattack.com.